Hi guys, in this video I show you how to make a cake look like a stack of pancakes. So I think it's been done many times before this one by lots of different people, but I wanted to have a go with my own version and maybe even try it in two different ways. So I've just got some fairly small cakes here. You can go for whatever size you want. These ones are about 5 inches. My cake card's just a little bit too big, so I'm just going to trim that down a little bit over the edges. And I've got a chocolate cake and also vanilla cake, and I'm using like a vanilla fudge flavour. It's just ice and sugar that I just pop in my buttercream. I was gonna use lemon, but I thought because I've got chocolate cake on the go, then the lemon one was probably not best. I don't like chocolate and lemon together, but maybe you guys do. Go for whatever flavours you want. Now, my cake is actually pretty solid, pretty frozen. It's an old cake that I had in the freezer, so I don't know if I'm going to be eating this one or not. For the Facebook Live that I did, I thought it would be fine. So we've just cut the cakes fairly thin, and I'm just layering them together with a bit of buttercream. You don't have to have your cakes frozen, guys, but I thought it might be a little bit easier as well for this one. Can you see when I'm stacking them as well? I'm trying to stack them kind of so that they're not all straight, they're not level. Poking out a bit all over, like pancakes would be stacked. A little bit uneven. And I'm going to cover the whole thing in buttercream. So, guys, this is just a sped up version. If you want to see it in real time, you can head over to my Facebook page where I did the Facebook Live. So we do a Facebook Live every week and you can catch that over there. So this is just a sped up version. So you can use fondant or covering paste, pre-coloured ivory. I just used a white one. I actually used a marshmallow flavoured one. I'll put links below as well, guys, so you can see exactly what I've used. But I used the marshmallow flavour one and I put a little bit of the ivory food colouring into my icing to just make it a little bit kind of an ivory colour. And I was playing around earlier, so this is just an old polystyrene dummy, guys, this one. And I'd seen previous tutorials where you kind of wrap the fondant around the edges, so on mine I wanted to try and go different. So earlier I'd done the wrapping around the edges, and it was a lot of fondant. I've still got a fair amount of fondant on this one, but we're going to cover it in one piece, unlike the other one. So I'll go back to the other one in a minute or two and show you how I did that one. But this one, all over in one piece. I haven't left the fondant really thin because I'm going to push into it a lot to create more shape of the pancakes, and if it's very thin it's going to tear quite a lot. So I'm starting by pushing it in around the bottom, and we'll trim off all the extra. I've got quite a lot of extra there that I probably don't need. And what I'm going to do is we're just pushing the shapes in. Try and aim for where sort of each layer of cake ended, if you can. Press fairly deep but without cutting through the fondant. So once you put the marks in the middle of each pancake, you can kind of pull the edge a little bit, pinching it with your fingers, and then in the middle of each pancake I want it to dip a little bit, so I've used the more rounded end of my Dresden tool to kind of press a little indentation in. I don't know how well you guys can see it in this video. Like I say, if you do want to go back and watch the live version of it, which is in real time, even though it's not live anymore, you can still watch it back at any point. You might find that it's a little bit easier to view on a longer length video, but that's up to you. So you're just going to keep doing this all the way down until you've done it on all your pancakes. And then I want some air bubbles. So pancakes often get little air bubbles around the edges. So I'm just poking these in with a small little ball tool. And you can put tiny little marks on the top if you want, but don't go too heavy. It's just so we had a bit of texture there on the top. Now, a lot of the top of this cake is going to be covered up anyway, because we're going to put some chocolate on the top of it. So I'm going to go back to the polystyrene one just to show you a little bit how this worked. The polystyrene's a bit dirty because I had a previous black covering on it of icing. I use it for window displays and things, but I'll take the icing off and I'll just re-ice it with something else when I want a new design. So this one's rolls of fondant, and I'm going to show you how I created this, but you'll be able to see it's quite thick with the fondant on this one. I was quite heavy-handed with it. But it just shows you obviously two different ways of doing it, so that if you prefer to do it this way to cover it in one piece, then you've got the options of both. And like I say, this way I've seen quite a few people do it online, and I really did want to just have a go at doing my own version of it. And you know, if they dip in places, that's fine. Pancakes would dip a little bit sometimes. And we need to add a bit of colour to it as well. So I've got some edible powder dust, so I've got like a squirrel brown, a chocolate one. The chocolate one's the Renshaws one, and a dark chocolate one as well. You don't have to use all the colours. The squirrel brown I kind of put on the top of each layer. And then if you want to darken it, look like there's some bits that I've cooked a little bit more, or if I was cooking them, some burnt bits, because I burnt everything. Just add a little darker bit to the very edge. Not too much though. You want the pancakes to stay light in colour, sort of in that middle section of each one where it hasn't touched the pan. And I know I keep calling them pancakes even though it's just fondant, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. So for the one that I've covered in one piece, we'll do all the colouring of it afterwards. So we're just going to use a dry brush and put that powder on. So because it's all in one piece, it's a little bit trickier to colour the top of each pancake, but you just want a thin flat brush so that we can try and get the colour in there on each one. So exactly the same way as the same colours that we did on the polystyrene dummy one. But remembering this one's a real cake in the middle. So for the top, I think we're going to use some dark chocolate. I'm going to use the Calibre. I've got two different types. One of them doesn't need tempering, but it's ideal for ice cream. So I think we'll go for the normal one, which I think is also going to be a bit thicker. And I'm just going to microwave it. Now, you should really temper your chocolate. I'm not very good at tempering things, but I'll just put it in the microwave and I won't heat it up too much. I'm going to heat it till it's almost melted, but not quite fully melted. And then what I'll do is I'll just keep mixing it until the last little chips have fully melted into the chocolate mix. So once that's happened, you can pop it on the top of your cake and then just try and get it so it kind of comes down over the edges. So it's very messy as this. It's not any kind of nice neat dripping that I've done, but I wanted it to look more like a real set of pancakes. And of course, if you were just pouring chocolate on at home and it was something that you were just doing for yourself to eat, it wouldn't look nice and neat, that chocolate. So I think we'll decorate it now with some sprinkles. You can use whatever you want. I was a bit torn between stars or the little round ones. You can see I've got some random ones that I put on earlier. I think let's just go for the little confetti shaped ones. I think they're called confetti. Again, guys, I'll put links below the video to the products that I've used so that if you are wanting to use the same things, you can find them easily. I've also got some of the larger kind of rainbow coloured ones. These larger ones are chocolate in the middle, so they're quite nice. They're not too hard and crunchy on your teeth. So just put as many as you want. And I'm trying not to put too much in the middle because my leftover buttercream that I was using for filling between my cake layers, I'm going to put in a piping bag. I'm actually just going to whiten it a little bit first. So I've got some white food colouring. This is just the Colour Mill one. So it's an oil-based one. So the white one's good for chocolate and buttercream. Anything that's oil-based, really. So let's put some in the piping bag. And I've got a piping nozzle on. It's the one that does swirls. Again, I'm going to link which piping nozzle it is below the video for you guys. And we just want to squeeze it on the top. We want it to look like it's some squirty cream that's on the top of there. It's quite a big pile of it, but that's fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a little cherry to sit on the top. So I've just got some modelling paste. It's actually red and black modelling paste mixed together to make this colour for my cherries. I'm putting a little dip in the top and then a little line down the side. Now, I thought cherries sometimes have a little indentation coming down the side. It was undecided when I was doing the Facebook video if everyone agreed with that or not, but mine have got that on. And then I'm going to use some edible glaze, but I'm going to mix a bit of food colouring in with the edible glaze, so it's a slightly brighter red, and then I'm just going to paint that on my cherries. So it's quite awkward to hold them and put the glaze on. The glaze is very messy. So I'll put them on a cocktail stick and then we'll give them a layer of the edible glaze. Let the glaze set before adding a second layer if you're going to add a second layer. And once you're happy with that, you can pop it on the top. So I'm going to push it down and then I want to see if I can get that cocktail stick out of there because we don't want to leave that in there. And of course you could just use a real cherry. I don't have any real cherries to hand and they're not really available in the supermarket at the moment. Or not at the time of me making this video anyway. So for the stalk, I am going to use a wire. Now, it does mean that you're not going to be able to eat this part of the cake. And I don't want to push the wire into the cake itself. So I want to keep it so it only goes into the cherry. And I've covered it in a tiny bit of brown modelling paste. You can use fondant as well. Either will work. And then I'm going to use some green food colouring. So it's a powdered food colouring, but I've just mixed it with a bit of dipping solution, this one. And we're just going to paint a bit on the brown stalk of the cherry. And then we've got our other cherry. Maybe we should just drop it on the cake. It's still a bit wet. I should have really let that one dry a bit more. So there it is. That's our stack of pancakes. And I think from maybe close up, it doesn't look like a real stack. But from a distance, I think people would probably think it was a real stack. And of course, like, I might as well finish my fake one. Maybe I can put this in my window display. But no one's going to be eating this because this one's polystyrene. So remember the one with dark chocolate was real cake. This taller stack is polystyrene in the middle. So it's just for show, this one. And this time I've used, rather than real chocolate, I just used a chocolate drip that was pre-coloured. Again, I'll put links below, guys, so you can see the different things that I've used on these. When adding sprinkles to your chocolate, guys, you have to do it quite quick because when it's set, it's very difficult to get them to stick in there. Let's pipe some more buttercream on the top to make it look like cream. It's a bit messy, but that's fine. And and I haven't got any leftover cherries, but I've got this little strawberry heart thing that I made a while ago. Guys, I do actually have a video for the little strawberry heart, so that's available on my YouTube and Facebook page, but there we go. And let's see what it looks like inside. So that's it for today's YouTube video. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to check out the others on my channel. And also don't forget you can join us for our Facebook Lives every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. UK time. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and more.